we were instantly hit by a red light. When my brother stopped the bike, we both couldn't see what we were doing, so we're both looking head down. And I managed to look up, and it was a cigar shape. Well, we called it cigar shape back then. We call them Tic Tacs now, but it was the size of a school bus. We had it turned to face the road, and then it scanned every house with that red light that was going along.
What's going on, everybody? This is Scott from Mysterious Planet, and welcome to another episode of the UAP Sessions. This is my monthly Instagram live show where we talk about UFOs. So today we have a special guest. His name is Jason Guillemette. Jason is a host of the podcast UAP Studies. It's a very successful UFO podcast. I will link you to it. If you have not checked it out before, I really suggest that you do. So today we're going to be talking about UFOs and abductions. So I'm going to invite Jason in and we will get started.
Oh, that's far better.
Jason, how's it going, friends?
Going pretty good. I just finished actually working on some notes on a notebook that I've been working on for the alien abduction. So this is actually a great day to be talking about this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is perfect then, man. That's awesome. See, I was just introducing you a second ago, and I was letting them know that, you host the UAP Studies Podcast. And, and you're soon to be a UFO barber, right?
Soon to be.
So,
soon
you
to
know
be.
What? You got a lot of exciting things going on. So that's really cool. Yeah, so today we're going to talk about UFOs and abductions, and we'll just kind of have a dialogue and discuss, and that'll be it, man. So, Jason, do you mind just going over a little bit? I know we've talked, but just for anyone who's watching, how'd you get into this subject?
So, basically, it's always been around. I think I'll try to do the condensed version. I saw Bob Lazar in 1989. I actually saw the live, basically George Knapp episode that had aired. And I remember my dad going, oh, man, like, he's saying that they really have flying saucers. And he's had a whole history of listening to this through his lifetime. But to me, it sort of solidified, like, holy crap, these things are real. And then when I was 13 years old, my twin brother and I, my twin doesn't look anything like me, we were coming home on September 1994. And we could see our home, like we were living in mobile homes at that point. We were like dirt poor, right, growing up. And we're maybe no more than 150 feet, maybe 200 feet away from our trailer. And I'm being doubled on the bike. So because we were poor, we're twins, we would make do with one bike. And being doubled meant like you went on the handlebars, you had the brakes and the gears stabbing you in the butt while your brother, pedaled you around town. You
Right.
did. So we're coming home, and when you arrive in the back of our house, there's a bit of a gravel yard with a skating rink that was right next to it. And it's nighttime, it's September, a little late September, so the sun went down fairly early, about an hour prior, and all of a sudden we get hit with this intense bright red light out of nowhere. And it came at us from behind. We never saw it coming from a distance. Most people say, oh, I saw it there and it flew over. We did not have that experience. We were instantly hit by a red light. We had no idea what it was. But it was so bright, Scott, that the rocks on the ground, I remember just being able to barely squeeze my eyes open, and all the rocks around me, every hair on my arm, everything lit up red. Like the light came from the hair, from the skin, from the rocks itself. It didn't look like it was illuminated from above. It was really weird. And when my brother stopped the bike, we both couldn't see what we were doing, so we're both looking head down. And I managed to look up, and it was a cigar shape. Well, we called it cigar shape back then. We call them Tic Tacs now, but it was the size of a school bus. And the light that came from the craft was from the underneath. There was no spotlights. It was just a perfect light that came from the object itself. And the way the light went down on us, there was no light bleed. And I often say, like, if you grab a flashlight, you point it at the ground, you'll have your main hot spot, and then you have light bleed around it, that right. Duration that goes on to darkness. This did not have that. It was a perfect laser cut light. There was no light bleed outside the boundaries of that light beam. And I don't know what happened, but anyways, it maybe 80 feet above our heads. And I'm giving it some distance. It could have been 70 to 80 feet above our heads. And then it just silently, never made a sound, just silently went away. Right above the row of mobile homes that we had, it turned to face the row, and then it scanned every house with that red light that was going along. And I'm seeing people on their TV switching channels, oblivious to this thing, and just scanning their homes at night.
That's
and
great.
This still happens today. People are oblivious while they're in their homes what's scanning them.
Right.
And that was it. That solidified it for me. I've never shut up about it since. So 1994 to present, been obsessed with them.
That's such an awesome story, man. So where was this? Like where
This was in
living?
Cadillac, Quebec. So Cadillac is a small mining town. And of course, we now know that mines attract these things. And there's been several incidences of other sightings at that location, including a abduction that I know of. And yeah, it was a small mining town. Population is so small that if you left town to go buy groceries somewhere else, you had to change the population sign of the city, right? So it was that kind of small town. It doesn't have a very big population, and yet this phenomenon surrounds that because it's gold mines around that area, and these things are always around. And if you talk to miners now, miners and the people that drive the trucks, they'll tell you they get followed at night by these things. So we now know it's a hot spot or mines for sure.
That's so crazy. So when the craft was like going over you and you were, the red light, was it like hovering at that point? And
it stopped right above us for a period, almost like it was.
Would you say that was?
Here's the thing, I don't remember, and the messed up part about this, my twin and I have different memories of what occurred that night. Where he says we saw it to where I say it occurred at two different locations. He even forgot that we were near home. And I'm going to be honest with you, if it wasn't for the fact that immediately after it started flying away, I don't know why I was saying this, but in my mind, and I told this to some people at the lineup when we were in Washington, I told that story, I think, and I kept saying, you need to remember this. You need to remember this. They want you to forget this. You need to remember this. You need to remember this. That's all. And it almost like my brain went into record mode because I was saying that. So as I'm saying it, it was flying over the houses and then back into the forest, but just barely above the treetops, illuminating every single branch, tree trunk, leaves on the trees, just everything. It was. Somebody said, well, you sure it wasn't the plane? You almost want to punch them for being that stupid. Like, do you think a plane does that? Like, oh, right. Yeah, you're right. At 13, I didn't know what a plane was. Like, makes no sense.
That's crazy, though, because it really makes me think, what triggered that response in you to be like, I got to remember this. I got to remember this. Like, they're trying to make you forget it. Like, that's a very specific response to have.
It is. And I think that it's probably something that a lot of people that have experienced maybe close encounters. That was definitely a close encounter. The distance I was away. Plus, we were bathed in the light, which is an effect of the craft onto you. So that definitely puts it in a very close encounter. I think that what happens, if it happened previously, they make you forget it. Right? And you're like, damn, every time they get you back, you're like, oh, yeah, right. And then you forget it. Now, I'm not saying that we were abducted, but I can't also rule that out. Just because we have two different, like he says we were at a different part of town when it occurred. I'm like, well, it's either they picked us up there and they dropped us off at home, because I remember looking at home and the craft, everything connected there because of you need to remember, you need to remember, you need to remember. So I think that's a great trick. If ever that happens to somebody, chant that to yourself. It's weird. This phenomenon is weird because when it occurred, it doesn't seem like a big deal. Like you look up and you go, yeah, of course. Of course. It's like a party that's just like, yeah, naturally.
Right.
Only after the fact do you clue in, like, what the heck happened? Like, why was I so chill about this? It's like the biggest thing in my life. And I think, I've seen them since. I've had orbs incidences, and there was other incidences when we were young. But the one that really, like, for me, when I was talking to my twin, he's like, no, we had other incidences. I'm like, wait, what? Like, not that I remember. He goes, no, yeah, we were in a field. So here where we live is like a lot of farmland.
Right.
We live right by a mountain called Sumas Mountain, which is a mountain that is perfectly placed amongst 3 cities surround this mountain. And they do mine at this mountain as well, but there's always activity in that area. And I'm adamant that there's something going on there. Anyways, we're living by that location on a farm, dilapidated old barns and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And my twin brother and I are in a field, and we're running from one side of the field to the other. It wasn't a big field. It was a long field, right? So you could run across it maybe 200 feet or something.
Right.
And this black disc was following us, like playing with us. Like we would run, it would like follow us above, and we would run across, it would follow us there. Like it was like, I mean, it was playing with us literally. And then it went and it flew to the next town over, Abbotsford, at such a fast, like it just literally disappeared out of sight. That's how fast they are. We freaked out. We ran inside the house. I have no memory of this event. I have a vague thing about like a round circle above us, sort of like following us, but that's it. And I said, no, it happened. I'm like, okay, so how much things have maybe mutually happened or separately happened that we don't recall? And this got me into, looking into abduction cases. And since then, I've been working with abductees. I worked with Susan Alloway in her Jackrabbit case, which is fantastic. And I'm starting to notice patterns amongst the selected people, if you will, that are sort of chosen for whatever abduction purposes, but it has nothing to do with the body. It has to do with the person themselves, the entity, the spirit that's within. It's that they come for. And it's not, we keep saying, why my body? Why are you doing this? This is just a meat bag, dude. It's just a car while we're here to navigate this realm. But that's not what they're focused on. They're focused on, and check this out, no sociopath, no psychopath, no narcissists are amongst the abductees, repeated abductees. Now, they may be a one-off. I'm not judging or ruling that one out. But the selection of the abductees are usually very kind people. People who give their shirts off their backs for you. Animals love them. They're artistic, more likely right-brained than left-brained. Very creative people. They're also empaths in the sense like they could sense people's emotions in a room, and they know who's feeling not included. They'll target that person and try to make them inclusive. So these people have all these traits, and yet no psychopaths, no sociopaths, which you think, maybe if they needed, no, they don't select those people. I don't know why, but I think it has to do more about who we really are within than the body. And I think we've been focusing on that aspect too long. Like, what is it about the body that they need? Maybe it's not the body they need. They're just doing repairs, like a repairman, an oil change. In case of Susan Alloway, they saved her freaking life. They took her friend with her, which was like, to them was a horrifying experience until decades later when she went under hypnosis and then found out they had saved her. They taken her appendix out. She was having appendicitis in the middle of a road trip in Utah at night, and they rescued her. She found out years later after she had her last kid, and they did some surgery. She said, well, you said you never had surgery before. She goes, I didn't. No, you had your appendix removed. And the way that they removed it was really weird because it was sort of folded up like a, chewing gum, that little silver paper you get with it. So if you roll it really, really fine, it looked like that, but it had beads in with it perfectly spaced apart within it to hold it shut. And she never knew that. She looked at her VA records and then found out that for the last 2 months prior to her trip, she was complaining of pain in her lower right abdomen. She had appendicitis, and she didn't follow through with it. It's 1970s. It's not like you had cell phones, right?
Right.
And they saved her life. And then you got to wonder, like, how are they aware of this? But she's a lifelong abductee, so they monitor you your entire life. You're not left alone. And if something like that happens where it's like, no, we need to intervene, otherwise she's not going to be able to do whatever it is that she needs to do, they come in and do it. And that's fascinating to me because it's no longer as terrifying as, oh, you're just being taken and they're doing weird things to you. No, there's a purpose to what they do and who they do it for. That's pretty cool.
I mean, that's incredible. And I get that speaks highly of your character since you had an experience. It means you're not narcissistic.
Well, yeah, I didn't mean it that way. But in a sense, like, I paint, I draw, I'm a musician. So I found those, like, I'm like, wow, like all these people have the same traits that I have, like the same pursuit that I have, like, or even precognitive dreams. Like they could dream of something, 2-3 days later it happens. And so it's just like, there's some about the person. And I'm not sure if it has to do with the fact that they're more maybe activated on the right side. And just to add to that, I'm not saying somebody who's left brain is not selected or not chosen, if you will, to be an abductee, lifelong abductee. But because they're not right brain, they have no creative aspect. They cannot remember something that just does not fit the left brain model. If it's not logical, it makes no sense, you dismiss it. And that might be a reason why left brain people are less reported as abductees. It's just they simply cannot remember it because the creative side of it cannot imagine it and go. Like, if you're imaginative, you could accept things. You're like, okay, this is the way it is. But if you're left brained, you need facts. It needs to be proven. You need to have solid bolts, put into your fact sheet for you to accept something. And I think a lot of people will dismiss that just because they don't know that it's happened to them. They don't remember. If right side brain people have a hard time remembering their own experiences or don't remember them at all, it would be very difficult for somebody who's more left brain to do the same. But you can't rule it out.
True. I mean, it's really interesting because you'll see people who have these abduction experiences, and like the example you were just giving, where somebody had their appendix like removed because it was going to cause a serious medical issue. But then you have abduction cases where it doesn't seem like it's beneficial. It seems like it's something super traumatizing and like invasive procedures. And where do you think that comes from? Like, why do you think there's such a vast difference in these types of experiences for people?
Well, we give or the polar bear sort of comparison. So like a polar bear, if you think about it, whenever we go and tag them and take blood samples, to them it's an alien abduction. It's creatures it's never seen. There's a flying thing in the sky. It lands. All of a sudden, it can't move because we paralyzed it. It doesn't know that.
Right.
We come in and, little creatures around and taking blood samples and doing things and tagging them. It's the exact same thing that's happening to us. We don't like to admit that because, we're above. No, we're not. We're way down in the cosmic population that's out there. We're really low on the totem pole. But those traumatic experiences, maybe because we don't understand it, because one, it's out of the norm. It's something that we don't do. I'm not going to break into your house at 3:30 in the morning and take you into my car and do a bunch of medical shit to you and put you back. That's illegal. But we also can't understand why that would be, because it's alien to us. The way that they think, the way that they do their procedures is alien to us. That's why they explain themselves a lot of the times to the abductees as to why they do what they do. I got people saying, you have no right to do this to me. And they'll reply, we have every right to do this to you. And, a lot of people are saying, well, maybe I signed like a contract, and this sounds far-fetched. I mean, really out there, but it's what we're looking into. But they're saying like they signed some sort of contract or agreed to when they come into this body on this life that they will work with them and allow them to do what they need to do. There's an agreement. They don't remember that when they're in this body. But because that's already set, they're saying, no, we have every right because you've already agreed or something to that effect. And the thing is with this field, it's so crazy that you have to look at different aspects to try to make sense of it. Not saying you accept all of it and say, well, this is what's happening, but you have to listen to everybody's side, everybody's ideas on it, because we have nothing.
Right.
Government might have something very concrete. Obviously, they work with them. But we, the general population, the peons, we have nothing. So we have to start coming up with our own theories. And, that's how you come up with theories. You test them. And if it doesn't work, you come up with something else. But we have to figure out our place and exactly how many of us signed up for this.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a really good point. What do you think about, you know, and I'm not saying this is what's happening, but I'm just drawing comparisons. So like, you know, abduction phenomena has been going on for a long time. And, you know, even prior to, you know, the 1900s, prior to that, prior to like the Betty and Barney Hill case, you go way back into like the 1700s and earlier than that, people had similar abduction, not the same way, but abduction experiences with like fae folk, and there's all the fae folk folklore. Do you think this phenomenon is possibly just presenting itself differently over time? And like maybe if you look back into like the Middle Ages and fae folk abductions, is that just like a past
I
version of the same phenomena? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think, yeah, if it is, well, let's say that let's go with the theory that they are visitors of either another dimension or from somewhere else in
Right.
space, whatever, we don't know. We would have interpreted them as our culture was. We wouldn't have known about that kind of technology. We were so far away from building planes and men being able to be in the sky. And you think about it, at any point in time now in 2025, you have about 1 million people in the skies at all times, 24 hours a day because of the planes.
Right.
Crazy that people are constantly in the skies, right? That was not even a concept in the 1700s.
Yeah.
So for them, they would have had to interpret it according to, the folklore or the legends of the place. And, humans were storytellers. Even, if you think about it, podcasting is, in a sense, it's not just storytelling, but it's, asking questions, almost like asking a question by a fireside with people listening in. And this is who we are. Like we forget that we're storytellers. Our whole ancestry, our whole culture has always been, translated verbally from one to another. But enter the age of television and everything changed. Now we got sci-fi movies, ideas, creative ideas are coming out. More people are being open to a different culture. So now the same phenomenon occurring in the 50s or 60s. Now they're like, wait a minute, this thing's in the sky. We're in the sky, but that's not us. Now we're looking at it differently because the more we expand on this planet, even when we go down in the ocean, we're going to find them there too. When we go down underground, we'll find them there too. 100%, they're in the ground, they're in the mountains, they're under the water, everywhere where we're not. And it'd be stupid for us to assume, well, no, of course they can't be there. Why? Because you assume? Did you look? The military has, like the U.S. military has so many bases on the grounds in like massive cities to boot. Our friend Earl Grey Anderson, before he passed, he talked about this, how his mother worked for, I think it was the famous aviator, Spruce Moose or whatever the hell he called it. The guy that went nuts, wore Kleenex for shoes, cleaning boxes.
I know you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I forgot his name. Anyways, she worked for him. She was his secretary, and she went to these underground bases in the 1960s, early 1960s, and she said there was entire cities. There was, vendors, there was barber shops, there was underneath the ground, right? This is in the 60s. We're 2025. They have bigger cities now. And we keep hearing of all these tunnels that they're digging. Like, where did they get these ideas from to do this? And there's no way that they're not aware of the presence on this planet being under our feet, in the oceans, in our skies. Like, they're always around us. And I think that's what we used to interpret back in the day. Like, oh, they're all around us, the Fey world or whatever, because you would interpret, flying saucer differently than you would seeing a gray in a field. You wouldn't even attribute the two to being together. Right. I think over time, it's sort of building into our culture, putting the pieces together. But it's still kind of cool. It's like, why did this, it's almost like it's seeping into our population as opposed to just being dropped on us. It's like seeping in. And that'd probably be the better way to introduce themselves to us, is by doing that, integrating with us. We're like, oh, my next door neighbor actually happens to be a hybrid. He's a nice guy. I talk to him all the time. And the butcher, he's also a hybrid, right? Like, it would make it easier for you to accept that they're here as opposed to just being dropped and like, oh, there they are. Like, I think there's a purpose, there's a plan behind it. At least it seems like an intelligent, strategic move behind the scenes. But again, it's alien to us. We don't know what the hell it is.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. That's an interesting concept. You've worked with a lot of abductees and things like that, so I know you've heard a lot of stories. One of my favorite abduction stories, I don't even know if I guess you can call it an abduction. They never came back. That's the thing. You know the story of Frederick Valentich, the pilot.
Yes.
So he was flying his plane, and he was all the audio. Anyone who wants to listen to the audio is available. You can find it on YouTube, any place on the internet. But he calls the air control tower, and he's saying, "Hey, there's this thing that's following me. I don't know what it is. It's pacing me. It's above me. It's moving all around." And then he reports to air traffic controller saying, "What is it?" And he's like, "I don't know, but it's not an aircraft." And then he's just gone, and he's never heard from again. So that's one of my favorite stories, abduction stories, because it's just so mysterious, and it like hearing his words as he's reporting it to the control tower, like I have goosebumps right now on my arm.
You can hear the fear.
Yeah.
And if you're saying, well, is it an airplane? Does he sound like he's seeing an airplane? Like, right. Like, it's the same thing. Like when somebody's legitimately scared, it comes through in the recording. You could hear the fear. There's something that changes in our tone, and audibly as humans, we pick up on that. So we become like, what the fuck? Sorry for my language.
Yeah, you're good.
But that also happened to a young pilot in Brazil. I think Brazil, Peru. I think it was Brazil. He took off. It was his first flight on his own, his first solo flight without the instructor. He had his license. So 24 years old, decided he was going to go from one city to the next. I think it was for a wedding. And he takes off, and 20 minutes later, the radio tower hears him, and they're saying, hey, where are you going? It's like, he's no longer in control of his body. He was being tailed by one of these crafts, and then they were relaying to ground control through him. Like they were using his voice to talk to them. They're saying he's sort of out, like he's consciously not aware. We're talking through him. And then he gave a bunch of different things. Anyways, the kid wakes up out of it, and it's like half an hour, maybe 45 minutes later, and he's over the ocean. And he's not supposed to be over the ocean. That's a different direction than where he was going. He's supposed to be following down the land to the next town. And still to this day, it can't be explained. The kid never flew again. Bunch of people came in asking questions, of course, and government does what it does. Keep your mouth freaking shut, otherwise we'll make your life miserable. I don't know what's worse, experiencing that or having your own government, your own kin come and tell you that if you tell anybody about this reality that we're in, we'll hurt you or we'll kill you. And that has happened thousands of times since the 1950s. There's no way it hasn't. I know personally of some field investigators with MUFON, old school guys that in the 80s and 90s, they were being pursued by unmarked cars, and they'd be driving on the highway, and all of a sudden they would lose consciousness, wake up 20 minutes later in their hometown. No idea how they got there. And it's some kind of device that these people have. I mean, I can't think of a higher form of treason, Scott, than what they're doing. That people that are aware of what's happening in reality are actually hurting us to keep it suppressed. They'll kill you. Phil Schneider, come on. Right. That wasn't a suicide. He wrapped his own catheter cords 3 times around his neck and pulled it. He hated himself that much? I don't think so.
Right.
But we're just meant to drink the Kool-Aid and go with it. Oh, of course, right? It allows me to sleep at night, knowing that men and women out there are murdering people to keep this quiet. It is stupid because this is happening to millions of people around the world. And I cannot think of a more treasonous thing than your own human kin using technology that they reverse engineer from another society against you to dominate you. And this is why we don't have disclosure. has nothing to do with them. It has to do with our own people not wanting to lose the power. Because they lose the power, they can't control you anymore. And we're seeing that more and more with, you're looking at the news these days of everybody is coming, all their dirty little secrets, which are nasty little secrets, are all coming out. They've all been plotting and scheming. And you're like, these are the people that are supposed to tell us that non-human entities are here? These people?
Right.
I'm sorry, but my leaders in Canada, I'm not interested in hearing anything from them. The states at this point, not interested. The candidates that be revealing disclosure are not the candidates I want to reveal disclosure because they're tainted. And it makes it weird. Like our field is really, really weird. You and I were actually in Washington last year, just actually where we met.
Yep.
And the true people, the true heart is there. Like it was palpable. You can't see that on News Nation or CNN when they filmed the lineup, but you could feel the energy. And the energy came from us wanting to know that, from the congressional hearings, wanting, congressmen and women wanting to know this, the witnesses. But that doesn't leak out from the Washington, what were we, the Rayburn building or something like that?
Yeah.
It doesn't leak out of that. It just stays there. And there's no interest because for so long we've said there's nothing to see here. There's nothing to see here. So people stopped looking. And now there's like, there's something here, see here. We still don't look because we've been conditioned not to. We're in a really weird phase. I think socially we're becoming more aware of the situation, but individually, I think we're still dealing with a lot of issues. I have in-laws very religious. They have a hard time with this concept too. They can't wrap their heads around it. I'm like, but if it's part of reality, don't you want to know that? And some people would rather be like the ostrich with its head in the sand. They'd rather stay that way, right? It just makes them so unnervous to realize that they're not priority number one.
Exactly.
Not only on this planet, but maybe the universe at large, and it scares the crap out of them.
Yeah, I mean, I love the point you made, because that's one thing that always bugs me, is that people, like the general population, doesn't seem to pay attention. They don't seem to even have interest in the subject, the general population, that is. And like, it's like, how do you not have interest in understanding the nature of your reality? But the point that you made was that we've been told there's nothing to see here for so long that we just don't look. We're conditioned not to look.
Yeah.
And there's people, few and far between, like ourselves and anyone who's into this subject and watching this on Instagram or YouTube, whatever. These people still pay attention to the subject, but majority of people do not.
Yeah.
It blows my mind, though. Like, it's like, how do you not have interest in understanding the nature of your reality?
Yeah, and I like to put myself in their shoes. I'm saying, if I didn't have the experiences that I had throughout my life, if I wasn't doing, the research that I'm doing, would I believe? And I'd probably be a big skeptic myself. Seeing really is believing, because once one of your five senses captures them, that's it. Like, even if, I would say, even if you don't see something, maybe you hear something in your room, like chatter, that would scare the crap out of you.
Yeah.
Even if you can't see that, you can't feel it, but you hear it, it will affect you. You're meant to use your five senses. And these buggers seem to know what our five senses are, which, trust me, five senses is probably not very much in the way of, our sixth sense, like our psychic ability, is so dumbed down that it's not even classified a sixth sense or a sense yet. That's changing with the telepathy tapes and all that.
Right.
But it's very easy to fool us. If you don't want us to see you, you just go into a light spectrum that we can't see. Go to ultraviolets or whatever. We can't see that. It could be overhead at all times. You would never know, right? Same with the fact they don't make any noise. Like I told you, we're 80 feet above my head, and I could hear my own heartbeat. I couldn't hear the ship. I heard my own heartbeat. So they're quiet. So they play outside the realms of not only that, but we're physical. And as far as we know, I can't go through walls, but they can. How? Like, they're able to do things we can't do. So it's either technology or they're evolved, not only physically, biologically, but spiritually. They've attained a level that transcends the place where we're stuck. And I think we're stuck. And I think maybe what they're trying to do is just push us to the next level that makes us progress better. But, we're a war-prone species, and I don't know how much faith I have that they're going to pull this off, if that is indeed what they're trying to pull off. But, to be honest with you, Scott, they have showed more compassion to people than I see people offering other people. Like, we are horrible. And yet these entities, they care that if you panic, they try to calm you down. They always put you back. It's not like they just launch you out the airlock once they're done with you, like we would, right? Like, if we were to start doing that, we'd launch every creature out of space. Like, job done, right? I'm not going to put you back in bed. Are you kidding me? I got to make it home for 5.
Right.
But they're showing compassion and even rescuing people's lives, or following down, as malevolent and evil as it may feel to us. Maybe that's our interpretation of what they're doing. We're interpreting it as malevolent and evil because we don't do that. In our society, you can't break into somebody's house and take their kids and them and then do things to them. Like, that's illegal. And yet these things have full access to doing that, which means that our government is powerless to do anything against it. And at that speed that they travel, I mean, even if you launch jets, it'd be too late. By the time the pilots are in the cockpit, that thing is gone. So we're dealing with something that's way above our understanding at the moment. But I think they want us to start understanding it. I think that it's, people like you and I and everybody else that we meet that's within our community, there's a light switch that's on. We all know something's going down. There's something in the air. You can feel it. And I think that's what it is. It's not maybe disclosure from the government, but it's disclosure from the people. Everybody rising up saying, F you, politicians, you won't tell us anything. It doesn't matter. We know. I just think that's going to happen. That's the only way it can happen. At this point, I've not banked anything on Arrow or any of those institutions like Resolution Office. What a load of crap. Yeah, we're going to solve this, everybody. We're going to resolve the resolution.
Right. And that's the thing. You can't, people say you can't really trust the government anyway, right? So even if they tell you, oh yeah, aliens are real, they're visiting Earth, but like, there's going to be people who don't believe that coming just because who it's coming from. And there's going to be people, and obviously I don't even think, even if they say it, they're not going to tell us the whole truth. They're going to tell us what they want us to know out of the truth.
Kind of like when you gaslight, or people gaslight other people, they give them tidbits of truth with lies. So you can't tell the difference between lies and truth. And like, well, I told you. It still leaves you in a lurch. You don't know more than you did, because whatever it is they did reveal to you, they're not ever going to expand on. And I often think too, like, what's the end game?
Right.
Because you have a country like the United States. It's just one country out of 195 countries globally. It's just one. And what, we're just waiting for that country to speak up about our visitors, like nobody else in the world is experiencing them? I live in one of the most active hotspots in the world. That's Canada, British Columbia. That's not the United States. So every country needs to speak up. I think Russia needs to speak up. China, good luck. That's not going to happen. They wouldn't admit to anything. But we know they have the reverse technology. We know that they have these weapons. Same with Russia. What scares me more is what we have done. Not only with their biology, but with forgot what her name was. That little senator, I forgot what her name is. She asked a question about hybrids when we were at that hearing.
Yeah,
it's not Paula Luna. So I forgot her name. But she asked about the hybridization program. Like, have you? And they all said, of course, no. But those questions are being talked about in Congress, and 100% we have done our own hybrids. We have manipulated their DNA with our DNA 100%. There's no way it's not. So when you actually think about the level of things that are out there right now, just waiting to be discovered or waiting to be revealed as true,
right?
It's a plethora of information. And now the whistleblowers are coming out, different departments. That's just from one country.
Yep.
That's just one country. So now you got to think about globally, how many people are in the know on this, you hear stories of like a base where aliens are working with human military guards, and the little entity dude greets the military guard that opens the door for him like they work together every freaking day. Like, hey, Jim, what's up? Yeah, no, coffee's fresh. Go ahead and have one, Earl. Like, we work with these things, and yet they're like, oh, they don't exist. Yeah, your
Right.
coworker would beg to differ. It's weird because we're being played as fools. And I'm 44 years old, and the way they act towards me, is like trying to hide it from a 5-year-old that you ate their Halloween candy the previous night. Just blatant lies, and I know you're lying, right? It's I don't know. I think we're kind of crazy, Scott, for being in this because you get frustrated as much as I do. There's just days I could see your post. You're like, ah, like, and then the day like this, right? There's very few good moments or good tidbits in this field. There's a lot of crap, a lot of lies. Not only that, but we're finding out a lot of the people within our own community that were trusted sources once have all been compromised. So, yeah, they're still playing their game. They're not going to let us have access to this anytime soon. As long as they can keep it quiet, they will continue to do so. And there's got to be a good reason behind it, but I think they're selfish. I think it's self-indulgence, creating technologies and a better future for the rich. It's not going to be for us. You know, when that technology starts hitting the market, it'll only be the rich that's able to afford it. And I mean the ultra rich, right? Saudi Arabia, money and all that sort of jazz will be able to afford. We won't. We'll be decades away from even having a trickle of that come down. So it is creating a future without us, if that makes sense. And that's the part that irks me the most. You have all these elites saying, hey, we're the elites. We deserve to live while the other people deserve to die because we have more pieces of paper in the bank than they do. That's strictly what they base themselves on. Not morals, not integrity, right. Not achievements. It's money. I have more. I deserve to live. You don't. And this is also within the UFO reverse technology. It's all the rich getting access to this, military's access to this. But what's the end game? When's it kind of come down on us? Probably sooner rather than later, I'm thinking. If you have that, you're going to use it to control the masses, especially when the masses are starting to be displeased. There's riots and all that sort of stuff going on, right? Hey, all right, let's take out the news. You have the Havana syndrome, which is a weapon that they use. Why don't you start using that on your own people, right? They used a sonic weapon not too long ago, and I forgot which country. They cleared the street. Like the minute they used it, everybody freaked out and cleared the streets. So they're using technology that is harming us to control us. And that's been the case since the start. I mean, the whole thing with ufologists, CIA's been embedded in this. We're all puppets. And that's why it's secret, because they don't want you to know you're the guinea pigs. They don't want you to know, keep us pressed, to going to work every day and struggling over bills and fighting over who's more righteous than the other and who, that's all it is now. When you open the TV, it's always a protest somewhere, somebody against somebody else. And we're all divided. And if we were united, we probably would get this solved a lot faster. But there's nothing that's uniting us now. And even within our own community, there's so much infighting, like X, Instagram, like everybody choose everybody. Yeah. We eat our own,
X is a wasteland. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's literally just everybody. I mean, we're all part of the same community. We should be lifting each other up. We should be trying to help each other out. We're all in it for the same thing. Hopefully, we're all in it to try to get to the truth. But there are people who are just in it for themselves, maybe. And
100%. And
there's people.
You and I,
they literally just trash each other. And it's like,
well,
come
you
on,
and I
man,
have been at this for a while, so we know the long-term players. But all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a bunch of people come out. Like, I find out about them 2 weeks, and then they're blown out. Like they're the top podcast. I was like, what? Where did you come out of? And you're starting to see it more. Like you and I don't have much money to spend on our programs, so these guys have hundreds of thousands of dollars to fly in the guest in on, first class, hook them up with a nice hotel, then bring him into the studio and pay them for their time. I don't have that kind of money, but they do. So that makes them number one because it makes their production value through the roof. Now, whether or not they're a good trusted source, that people don't care about that. They just want, UFO-tainment. They just want the best videos that, and again, out of nowhere, like there's so many people within the last year. I'm like, who is this guy? Oh, he's considered an expert. Since when? I've never heard of this. I know most people in this community. I've never heard of this freaking guy. Oh yeah, he's just started a new. When they say he just started a new YouTube channel and it's like he's an expert, I'm like, are you kidding me? One, there's no experts in ufology. That does not exist. And two, are you kidding me? Like, oh, I think that's what it is. It's the infotainment or UFO-tainment, as I call it, is what people want, right? You clue in, only I have the access to this, privileged interview because he paid for it and he paid the man, make sure he doesn't go on any other podcasts except his to talk about it. And this is happening more and more. You're seeing it more with the bigger players. It is really much a pay-to-play circuit. And again, only the rich get access to this. So people that have money will be able to, you might be in this for 10 years and they'll overshadow you within a week because they got the cash. And the cash brings attention, and then you can do whatever you want. That's why I don't really trust the big guys, because I'm like, if I am a DOD agent or I'm trying to I'm going to go after you. If you're the biggest guy on the board, I'm taking you out first. If you false information, I'll discredit you. And I'll discredit the next guy, where eventually everybody just stops because everybody's being discredited. And I think that's what's going to happen. Harder to bribe guys like us who have nothing, because we're not the top of their attention, right? They're keeping tabs on those people. But again, like I said, it's becoming a pay to play to get the truth, and I'm not interested in that game. Like if that is the way podcast is going, I'm out. Right. I'm not selling my soul or my integrity to follow that. That is disgusting behavior. And I wouldn't want to personally have anybody listen to me if I'm making, hundreds of thousands of dollars every month and I have a big production thing. I don't want people to follow that. That is a show. And when you're in a show and you're trying to maintain your level at the top, what do? Well, you start promoting shit that's not really true to stay on top. Right? I mean, we see this over and over and again, and now it's coming into our community. And I'm just saying, watch out. There's a lot of snake oil salesmen amongst us, and you got to be able to catch them because they swindle people every day. That's what they do. I was talking about no psychopaths, no sociopaths, but there definitely is some, and they're trying to cash in. They think there's money to be made. If you think there's money to be made in ufology, you don't know ufology. Yeah. I'm in debt now because of the podcast. I make less money than I actually spend on it. So, people got to understand, if that's the nature of how we get the information, great. But the minute I'm being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, call me out on it, because it's coming from somewhere. And that money will control the words that I say or can't say, right? And I think that's what's happening to these people. Great for them to get sponsors, but wait till the sponsors start telling you, oh, wait a minute. Just like producers in Hollywood, wait a minute, we don't like that scene. Wait a minute, can you cut this out? Like, they'll do that to them too.
Man.
Stay small, Scott. Stay small.
I know. It's ufology is a really interesting, it's a really cool place, but there's that really bad downside to it. And 100%. Unfortunately, like, I don't know, people succumb to it. Well, it's like, what did they say? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And it's true. Humans, like, once you have power, you don't want to lose it. Like, that's why democracy is frail, because somebody might go into power and doesn't want to lose that power. Exactly.
And then anywhere across the world, we've seen democracy turn into dictatorship because that person doesn't want to lose the power that they've gained, right? And I don't think that's any different across the board of anything we do as humans. I mean, you think about your manager at work, that's a sociopath or psychopath. Most of them are. You see their behavior, you realize it's not about the person, it's about manipulating the person to get what they want, so they look good to the people they're trying to impress, right?
Right.
And we have this hierarchy in our social system where we accept that. Well, I accept that while I'm at work, that I'm going to work for a psychopath. You wouldn't put up with anything that psychopath would say to you at home. You would never. You punch him in the teeth. But at work, say, no, that's okay. I understand. I have to make money. really you're selling yourself. You're becoming, less of yourself. You don't stand up for yourself because you need the money. And we're all like that. We're all so worried about our security and that, oh, well, if I do this, then that's going to happen. And that's no different than the people who do have the keys to disclosure. They have the keys, but if they do this, then this happens. They lose their opportunities, like their bosses. We think there's psychopaths and sociopaths in businesses. You got to look at politics. Look at the politicians. They're all narcissists, every one of them.
Right.
Same with Hollywood. Like, you have to be a narcissist to achieve that level. You have to step on people and be able to sleep well at night. And I'm not able to do that.
Right.
And again, most of the people that are abductees are not able to do that. The integrity, what's built inside you to begin with. Because morals, you can educate somebody on morals. Integrity, you can't. It's just built into the person. So I think our future should be looking for those people, integral people. And stop looking at like, well, this guy has a lot of money. Why doesn't he run the country? Well, no, he's also friends with Epstein and, who knows? I'm not naming anybody specifically.
Right.
I'm just saying the elites, they're all in bed together. They sell you promises, but they're not really going to sell out their friends. They just want to control you. And I think that's the part we're getting fed up of. It's like noticing that it's constantly lies or like, hey, why don't we get any news? Oh, get over it. Get over it. Like aliens, get over it. No, like we're being played for fools and we're allowing them to get away with it. I think that's why Canada's in this shape that it's in now. Is we're too nice, too polite, and we never said anything. And we're really, dude, we're not in a good position here, right? And I think the world is in that same situation. Their own, like each country has their different problems.
Right.
But like I said, we could all feel it. It's in the air. There's something wrong. Something's not right. And I think it's just the lies, the deceit have built up so much over the years that now it's all falling down. And then we're left going, who did we elect? Who was running the country for the last 50 years? And you realize it was always a cabal of people that want to control. It's like, this is the reason why we don't have disclosure, because they control us. If they didn't control us, we'd have disclosure.
Right.
So if anything, it just goes to show you how much they've kept us in the dark, not only legally. Danny Sheehan, I was talking to the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and he was saying that, like, Washington is great at losing, priority on the UFO issues because it's got to go through so many tiers of approval. And, oh, no, sent back down. And, oh, no, it disappears for 4 years. What a great way to get rid of something. You put it through the political system. Gone. No accountability, classified. Oh, it's so maddening. And the thing is, I don't know why we're still like, oh, well, what can you do? It's not what can you do. What can we do, going forward? And that's what we encourage people. Like, get out there. Do like what you're doing, Scott. Like, go line up in Washington. Go document it. Keep up on current events. Keep yourself updated. Keep others updated. I often tell people, if you want to get into the field, this is the moment. Like, get a kick up the ass, get off the couch, stop being a couch investigator and telling everybody on Twitter how much you know from watching documentaries. Actually go out in the field and investigate it yourself. Be part of the movement as opposed to part of we don't need another internet troll. We don't need another guy sitting on his toilet bowl on X just chewing away at George Knapp for no reason.
Right.
Those guys are a dime a dozen. It doesn't make you any more special than anybody else. In fact, if anything, it makes you forgettable. Be active. If this is really a passion that you have, get out there. I'm not saying this to start a podcast because now I think there's something like 600 podcasts related to UFOs, which is crazy. You're going to get lost in a wash. But you can do something like, even if it's a YouTube channel where you document yourself working on some cases, whatever it is, get active. And wherever you live, if it's a Cadillac, Quebec, a small town, there's nobody there, get active. Be that one person in the community that people know to go to if anything does happen. I think that's what we need to do. As a community, we need to grow, support each other in our work, not call each other retards because you don't agree with somebody's theory. That's dumb. We don't know what we're dealing with. How is somebody's theory worse than yours? Like, it's equal weight as far as I'm concerned until that's sorted out. But it's the lack of, I think participation amongst the people that are interested in the subject, and you're saying that, well, we were talking about how some people just dismiss it. There's some people that accept it fully, but they do nothing with it. They don't talk to the families. Well, they'll talk to their coworkers. That's it. They will never contribute to a case. They will never go out and film a sighting, a cattle mutilation. They will do nothing but just have opinions from documentaries that they've seen, right? Most of them don't even read books. Like, I have tons of books on UFOs. They're all highlighted and marked and tabbed. That's called research. None of them do that. They'll just go on YouTube and watch somebody else's opinion, which then becomes theirs. And I hate that. That should not be the way you are if you're interested in UFOs. Do your own damn work. Find your own, theories behind things, or, you rule it out. But I don't think we should listen to anyone who has had zero work in this field. And just between you and I, sometimes on YouTube, I like to show off and tell those people off by whenever they say, you're wrong and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, well, we have a free opening tomorrow. Would you like to come on the podcast so we could interview you about your knowledge? And they back away every single time. Well, you don't have to be a dick about it. I'm like, gotcha. People are all yap and no bite. You know what I mean? So,
right.
And that's the problem with our community, is that we put up with these people, and we shouldn't. The minute somebody says anything, block. When you notice they're getting blocked by everybody in the community, maybe they'll shut up, right? But we need to start standing up instead of like taking slaps like Canadians did, and like, oh, sure, yeah, no, we don't want to offend anybody. You get trampled on if you don't do that, right? So I always encourage people, get out there. Whatever it is that you can contribute, if it's graphic artists or you're great at taking pictures or film, like you have skills, use them. We need it. We need as much as we can get, because it's never going to be funded by the government. It's all private individuals working together. So we got to stop fighting.
That's true, man. That was a really good point that you made there, and I think we do have to be careful about who we listen to. And I think, if you're interested in the subject, like you said, now's the time. Like, do something productive for the community. Right now, when the government is, paying attention to the subject at the moment, and at least pretending to pay attention to the subject at the moment, and they're holding hearings, now's the time to get involved. So
and to tell the truth, the legwork has already been done for most people.
Right.
Getting people to accept that this is happening was the hardest part. Even George Knapp, he was the only reporter that was covering this. Everybody laughed at him. They tell him your career's over, you're freaking like whatever it is they threw at him. And he was right, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He stuck to his guns. That's why we look up to people like him. It's because he stuck to his guns when people were flinging mud and turds. He did not waver. He kept on, because it's true. The truth is the truth. You can mask it all you want, could deny it all you want. I think Ayn Rand had a quote that said, reality, you could choose to ignore reality, but you cannot ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. So you could avoid issues, but eventually there'll be consequences for you avoiding it, and then you can't hide from it anymore. It's only a temporary solution, right, to hide from something, because eventually it will find you. It will come down to you. It will be on your doorstep. And the same way as life happens to people, these encounters happen to people. And most likely, as the viewers listen to this, somebody in your life that is an abductee. They don't tell people. They might not even know it themselves. But kind of like the 6 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon or something like that, it's the same thing with abductees. Everyone knows at least 1 to 2 people that are abductees. When the Roper polls in the 1990s did a questionnaire about how many people are possibly abducted, they said 1 out of 52 people are possibly abductees. 1 out of 52 people. A Greyhound bus is 52 seats or 54 seats. So basically, one person in a Greyhound bus across the board is an abductee. Now you multiply that by how many people in the world, and then I realized that the 1% in the 1990s was probably not true, because there'd be more than probably 2 people out of 52 people that are abductees. because back then it was taboo to even talk about the subject. That is crazy. You know more than 54 people.
Yep.
Right? And definitely within that mix, there's 2 people that are probably lifelong abductees and have no memory or have never talked about it.
That's
It's
crazy.
more prevalent than people think, and it's more consistent, I think, in this field more than anything. Like sightings are dodgy. It's a hit or miss whether you see one. It really is down to luck. But abductions reoccur over a person's lifetimes, which means that specific aspect of the phenomenon is more prevalent, is the abduction phenomenon. And I don't think Eisenhower ever signed a contract with ETs to abduct people, because Eisenhower would have to be speaking for everybody in the planet, which I don't think one country can do that for other countries. So I don't think there was ever an agreement. I think they just realized this is going to happen with their approval or without their approval. It doesn't matter. It's going to happen.
Right.
What can you do as a government? Like, you can't stop this. This is like God level technology and entities. You can't, you said that with your thumbs. And all you can do is, hey, shut up. You keep quiet. Kill this guy. Mute this guy. That's all you can do.
Right.
So I think that's part of the disclosure, is also the government admitting that they don't run the show. They never have. They just kept silent about it, the same way as like, a spouse that's being abused at home keeps silent about it. Do you know what's happening? No. Dad didn't mean that. Dad's a loving person. Just feed us lies, even though we know the truth, right? I'm sorry, my analogies are all over the place, but that's kind of the way I see it. It's all a gameplay. And no, just because you wear a suit and a tie and a little, pin of your country right here, doesn't matter where you are, doesn't make you special. Doesn't make you the leader. You're the leader probably on, specific things like war and all that, but not on extraterrestrials, not on other life forms that are higher than us. You have no right to keep that from anyone, right? These people, they're people just like us. They die fast just like we do. There's nothing special about them that makes them privy to this information and not share it with the rest of the world. I think that's insulting as a grown man. Like, I wouldn't do that to somebody else.
Exactly.
Somebody else does have the audacity to do that to us, right?
Yeah. Man.
Get mad.
Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, look, Jason, I don't want to run too long. We are hitting an hour time block right now, but
I'm having fun. So you call it when you call it.
I just want to let people know, definitely check out Jason on his podcast, UAP Studies. I will put a link to it in the comments below. I will put a link to it when I upload this on YouTube later. Jason's, he's a wellspring of knowledge, as you can tell from watching this. He knows a lot about the subject. And, I think you should 100% go and check out his podcast. He does fantastic work. And he's an awesome human being. So please support him. All right, Jason. Thank you so much, man, for coming on with me.
Anytime. Seriously,
Good
anytime.
talk, man.
Yeah. You're my buddy.
Awesome.
Anytime you need me, I'm there.
All right, dude. Appreciate it. All right, Jason. Have a good one.
Take care, brother. Bye.
Bye.